hey, congratulations on your comic book for Primos.
Thanks, man. It's been a long time coming. Sort of like to realize, I don't know. It sort of starts as with me being a stand-up comic and just not realizing all of the doors. I had no idea, like no clue about Hollywood or the business, and it's just opened up it's just continuing to open up doors. And I feel like, meeting Axel Alonso from AWA and having so much in common, which is the weirdest story, which I don't even know if you know. We're doing a podcast together called Comic Book Live. And I look over and I see the guy has a picture of his kid playing basketball on his iPad. I'm like, hey, my son, I'm so chatty. My son plays basketball. And he goes, oh, yeah, my son just scored 28 points in a game. And I go, well, my son just scored 34. I don't want to one-up you. And then he takes off his jacket and he's got a San Francisco Psycho t-shirt on. And I go, are you from San Francisco? I go, I'm from San Francisco. I went to SI. And he goes, I went to SI. And then we realized we went to the same high school. We were both half Mexicans. We were both married to Koreans. We had two kids the exact same age that were the same people when they met. They both liked the same foods, had the same stomach ailments. Like, it was just weird. So we have the same favorite restaurant. Like, I met, and he's much, much older than I am. But I'm kidding. He's older, but we have everything in common. So we started and bonded over the lack of, talking about the lack of Latinos in comics and just like the lack of diversity in superheroes in general. And, Axel is famous for, Miles Morales. Like, he was able to, like, again, like that's a whole nother conversation, but he deserves all the credit for, again, so that Marvel diversity push that I think he took a lot of shit for.
Well, I mean, you deserve the credit for writing this story. So how did it come to you? Did it come in a dream, or?
It's interesting. So I started working when I had my last special. I met a guy named Felipe Flores, who's a great artist, and he did my album art and my title sequence for my special. And we just started talking about superheroes in general. And I had remembered that me and Axel always had this conversation, and we were talking about the lack of Latinos in comics. So we started coming up with a variety of ideas. And then with Axel's guidance, sort of came up with this. And when I stumbled across this Kanik Janab Pacal, who was a Mayan emperor from 603 to 683, and then they'd never found his tomb. They were looking for it the entire time. And that's where fiction takes off. And they didn't find his body because he had been in space for centuries. And we started talking about these characters and what this combination of Primos would be. It fills a void, and there's an opportunity, but it's something I'd want to read. It's there's Mexican American superheroes are non-existent. It's Blue Beetle, and then there's a steep cliff.
So how much Mexican lore you're going to put into a series like Primos?
I think it's difficult. There's definitely the temple and this temple of inscription where Kanik Janab Pakal like actually ruled still exists. Is in modern day Chiapas in Mexico. But in terms of these brothers come back, and with miscalculations, two brothers come back, and it's the year 2022. They see, and they're able to pull up with their data pads, where all of their people are, and they're in cages at the border. There again, you'd sort of be doing, I don't know. I feel like Latinos a disservice by not addressing some of the things that are happening right now culturally, and certainly with my Daily Show background, I'm acutely aware of like all of the I think it, again, TV being one of those, the most glaring example. Like, we're 20% of the population and 5% of the characters on television. Like, there's just disparity. It just does not make any sense. And I think also, while being the hard workers that they are, Latinos continue to be vilified in the United States. So I just got, and you got to look this up, this artist, this variant cover of the Primos breaking through the border wall is just awesome, and sort of sums everything up. It's like every Republican's nightmare. But yeah, again, there's lore, there's, it's real history. And again, where fiction takes off, creating these really cool characters that you haven't seen too much of. And especially also with their backgrounds, like the fact that they are in the line, like it's all about genetics and it's all about the combinations of DNA and what happens when these three cousins get together and the magic that they were able to create together. You haven't really seen too much of it. And so that's also the huge challenge with this, is everything's been done. Everything. Like, when you're talking about superheroes, like, especially when I was watching Spider-Man, it's like, Ricky travels through portals, and Doctor Strange is all about the portal. And so, like, I was conscious not to go too portal heavy. It's got to be what makes them unique and stand out amongst all of the, thousands of superheroes that exist.
So you see Primos more of a superhero movie than a sci-fi or a magic, or I guess there's so many different.
Yeah, there's definitely, like, look, I have a 19-year-old now, and it's like, I'm not sure if you remember all of those Justice League Unlimited like DVDs. DC does such a great job with animation, and so we still to this day consume every single bit of it. And like Dr. Fate, and you look at like all of, like, isn't it Zatanna, and like all of the different magicians that universe had. We always I don't know why we gravitated toward Dr. Fate all the time. We just thought he was super cool. Anyway, you're not going to cut me off, are you going to cut me off? Oh, sorry, I thought somebody else was chiming in. So again, like, there's the magical element, but I think we did something really cool with Javier's spear, where he can tap it, and it's like a roulette wheel. And, like, for example, different combinations show up. So if it's 3 stick figures in that roulette wheel, then 2 of him show up side by side, and there's a lot of magical elements involved in their artifacts. But again, he started as this badass Mexico City cop, so again, he's their powers take hold, like Gina, and the powers take a while to set in too. It's not just automatically you're given this ability and you have to train yourself. Like, again, Spider-Man, they did such a good job of, like, Peter Parker initially getting his powers and then learning how to use them. It's not so much of that training process. It's just that they take a while to set. And so again, it's like, it's a combination of sorcery and, superheroes.
I can tell that you love comic books. So this must have been a dream come true, that you got to write your own comic book, and I have to mention, you are going to be starring in Morbius pretty soon too. Could you tell how all this came full circle for you?
It's really insane. Again, going from stand-up open mic comic to going from door to door to door, and taking advantage of those opportunities when they're presented to you. I mean, look at this. Like, this is nuts. Like, the fact that a poster showed up yesterday, and again, Carlo Barberi, who did this art from Deadpool, like, he is the most amazing partner in this. But I mean, look how fucking cool. Sorry, I'll swear. Javier looks, and Ricky, like, it just turned out so well. We've got these 4 like 6'10", 500-pound Mayan sicarios that are chasing them around. And again, from it to go to idea to Carlo and back, and then through lettering and the rewrite process, it's just been, I'm pinching myself with the Morbius. You know, you got to see this in the trailer but I mean, I got to do scenes with Michael Keaton. It's like the coolest person of all time. When I met Michael Keaton, I was like, I'm not even going to pretend to be cool around you. I saw Gung Ho in the theater. And he's like, yeah, like I am like the biggest and Michael Keaton started out in stand-up comedy, but he's just like easily one of my favorite actors because he can jump from comedy to, I mean, Michael Keaton and the other guys is hilarious. And then you see, you know, Michael Keaton in Dope Sick. Like he's just, again, it's I don't even know what to say. It's like incredible experience. And then teaming up with AWA and Axel and Carlo and making this happen and true to the vision. You know, this is being translated into Spanish. And we really, again, wanted to make sure that it was authentic Mexican Spanish and not something you just sort of plug into Google Translate. So that was very important to Axel and myself. This is a Mexican-American story, you know, and again, with some Mexican nationals as well, and Javier, you know, so.
Well, let me wrap it up with one more thing with you, Al. Are you hoping that there will be more Latina type of stories out there, and do you look forward to possibly adapting this into a movie down the road?
Absolutely. In part of a letter that I wrote to the readers of this, I mean, one of my main purposes behind writing this is so the reader, and I say it to them, I want you to write your own Primos. I want you to create your own stories. I hope this inspires, even if it's just one person, to create their own heroes, or, you know, whatever their creative dream is. But we need more Latinos in Hollywood, and I've put myself out there quite a bit. But anyone seeing this can reach out on Twitter or Instagram, and I will respond to you immediately. So I will help anybody get access to this. It takes a lot of hard work and perseverance, but if somebody is willing to be diligent, I got your back. Like I'll help anybody the way people help me.
I am so glad that you're helping out others within that community, and hopefully everyone strives to be better because of this.
A lot of guys kick the ladder out when they become successful. You've heard that expression, but I'm sending the freight elevator down. Everybody jump in. Let's go. Like, let's do it.
That is great. Well, Al, hey, thank you very much for speaking to us about Primos and Latino representation. And I can't wait to see more issues. And you know what? Now you got me all hyped up to see what you do with Michael Keaton on Morbius.
It's going to be awesome. Daniel Espinosa is an incredible director. It's so I'm not sure if you saw Life or Safe House or any of his other movies, but it's going to be cool.
It will be cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next
awesome.
time.